Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. Phase 1 delinking of batteries at the Moss Landing Vistra power plant continues, as does planning for future efforts. We're going to take that as our first topic today, and we'd like to start off with a representative from Vistra. We're very pleased to have Dave Yeager. He is the Director of Project Development at Vistra, and he is going to give us a site update today. Hi, Dave. Thanks very much for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Can you confirm the audio is coming through okay?
Gotcha.
Perfect, thank you. No, thank you so much for having me. My name is David Yeager. I'm an engineer specialized in battery storage and solar plants for Vistra and a director on the development team. So today, really want to discuss the outlook and recovery process for the Moss Landing plant. As we've said before, the recovery process and our investigation into the cause, it's going to take some time. And we're committed to completing each phase safely and in compliance with all applicable regulations. And based on the information we have today, we do estimate that recovery activities will continue for at least a year. And that's really due to the compromised nature of the structure and the many phases of work that will be required to complete that scope. And at this time, initial work plan has been developed and early stage recovery activities are well underway, but that longer term plan, as you noted, is still being developed. So we are making good progress on that initial plan and those recovery efforts. So to date, the team has informed me about 85 to 90% of the accessible batteries have been delinked, and that work is continuing daily. So weather permitting, the guys on the ground there do expect to have that wrapped up in the coming days. So that's kind of where we're at on site. We are still working with structural engineers to determine how to access the other areas of the building and also ultimately to demo the structure. And of course, that's all with the safety of the workers and the environment as the highest priority. As we move forward, each phase of the recovery operation will incorporate the findings of the previous, and that's really to inform the subsequent work, which is really important. And of course, all of that is under the direction of the US EPA, Cal EPA, Monterey County, and other relevant state and local agencies. Also wanted to note too that as we move into the longer term portion of this recovery process, updates will be less frequent, but we do remain committed to keeping the community informed as we reach significant milestones in that longer process. And again, thank you so much for having us today. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, I do need to leave and I can't stay for the entire meeting. But if there are any questions and follow-up questions, please direct them to the County PIO, Nick Bisculi, and we'll coordinate with him in response. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Dave, very much. I really appreciate the site update and great news on the progress on delinking. We do have a representative from US EPA on, so if there are any questions related to the site, we can take those questions, but we're going to pivot now to our environmental health department or division. Gosh, I made you your own department today. And Rick Encarnacion, who is going to tell us what is happening with work that they are doing at the site or related to the site.
Sure. Thank you, Maya. Good afternoon, everybody. Rick Encarnacion, Director of Environmental Health, the Environmental Health Bureau. We are part of the health department, and we are your local health inspectors. We're also in charge of following up to ensure that the responsible party follows up with the actions that we're going to be asking to be done, including proper cleanup. And as we continue to do our community monitoring, we are also updating any information, official information on our website. We also have a phone number. I don't have it available right now, but maybe we can share it on the screen. It does include a phone number that people can call into, which is 831-755-4505 to submit any complaints or concerns. You can leave a message and we'll follow up on that. Other than that, we are continuing to work with our states and local and federal partners with ensuring proper cleanup is completed. And with that, I'll be available for any questions. Thank you. Oh, Maya, you're on mute.
Thank you. Are there any questions then for Rick at Environmental Health Or are there questions that perhaps for site questions, perhaps the US EPA might be able to answer those questions? I'm not seeing any questions related to those issues in chat. And so I'll give it just another second or two in case somebody is typing. And then, so if any questions come in additionally related to that, we will forward questions either to the US EPA or to our environmental health or to Vistra on that topic. So we do want to move on to another exciting development in this process to help the community better follow along on the recovery of the site. The County of Monterey Department of Emergency Management, in collaboration with the US EPA, have created a recovery website. And we're very pleased to have Kelsey Scanlon, the director of the Department of Emergency Management, here to talk about the new site. Hi, Kelsey.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me today. I am very excited to be here to talk about the launch of this new website. As Maya mentioned, we have been collaborating with the US EPA and Environmental Health to create somewhat of a comprehensive debris removal progress tracker. Since the fire that occurred at Moss 300 on January 16th, the county's primary focus has been on ensuring the safety of the community, addressing questions about environmental concerns, and ultimately keeping the community informed on Vistra's progress. And so, in the interest of sharing information in a centralized and timely manner, we are announcing the launch of this website, as I mentioned before, to track the progress of site remediation efforts. The website is intended to provide the public with a user-friendly experience that provides updated information and access to the cleanup process, safety measures, and progress updates. Over the last several weeks, we've received a lot of requests from the community regarding information about the debris removal process, what that looks like. And so this new website is ultimately responsive to those public requests for a deeper and more regular communication effort about that progress. And so we want to keep the community informed at every stage of the process and to assist in providing context about the challenges of each phase and the timeline of those efforts. Ultimately, the website will serve as the primary source from the county and EPA regarding updates at the site. I believe Vistra is also working to establish information on their webpage about the debris removal process. And so you'll have those two platforms for viewing the different updates and the overall progress. This will also be to address general safety concerns inside the fence line. I think it will help encourage the transparency that is ultimately expected by the community. As we launch the website, one of the things that I'd really like to highlight is that the cleanup process, as David had mentioned, is a very complex and arduous task. It's really dynamic in the variables that may present themselves throughout the process, considering the scope of the debris and the ash footprint. And so as the progress moves forward, we anticipate that there may be pauses in each phase that's presented on the website. There may be changes to the overall process, and we are ready and available to work in communicating those new barriers as Vistra and the US EPA and Environmental Health encounter them, and to ensure that we are moving forward in a safe but expeditious process, essentially, for removing the debris from the site. The community should anticipate that information will change on the website as we navigate the remediation process. And as I mentioned before, there will be periods where there's less frequent updates, but the intention is to provide truthful, transparent, and verifiable information. And so once we have that, we'll be sure to update the website as soon as possible. And so I just want to reiterate again, this is a very dynamic process, and there will be many pivot points from the operations and tactics perspective of the debris removal process. And so this website will be equally as dynamic as we move forward to completion. And so we'll continue to work with Vistra and our local, state, and federal partners to ensure that information on the website is communicated as timely and consistent as possible, and encourage the community to continue to go back to the website for updates and to review the content as it changes throughout the next year or so.
Kelsey, I don't know if there's an opportunity to give a preview of what it will look like, or tell us when the website will be live, or if it's live already.
It is live. We are working on a press release to be sent out later today. Can you see my screen?
We see.
Okay. And so it is available now and includes a high-level overview of the 3 phases here at the top, with which phase is currently in progress. And then as you scroll farther down, there is more information about each step of the process and the current status of that step. And so it starts with battery hazard mitigation and removal, which is primarily overseen by the US EPA. And then it gets into structural debris demolition and removal, which is primarily supervised by the County of Monterey Environmental Health Bureau, as is phase 3, which is cleanup confirmation. And so there will also be participation from regional and state departments throughout this process, wherever their regulatory authorities might overlap.
So change the plan for me. I'm sending something out right now.
Felix, mute.
Videos in the RVR. Okay.
Can you mute?
There you
Sorry,
go.
Kelsey. Yeah,
That's
pretty
okay.
exciting. Now we know what they're working on.
Well, we have a star amongst us. So thank you, Mr. Cortez. And so with that, that is the high-level overview of the website. And we very much look forward to continuing to update it. As I'm sure questions arise, we are looking to develop an FAQ over the next several weeks as questions come in.
And Kelsey, I'm so glad that you're showing this, because one of the things that you said was that your department has gotten a lot of questions. There's a lot of public interest in what are these various stages. And I think the public is anxious to, have things cleaned up, and they're very excited about it. But this really shows the real story of what the process is going to be, and that people can get a realistic idea of what the next year might look like, as Mr. Yeager mentioned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really an opportunity to engage in the process. And I think people might initially be frustrated that not all of the answers are available right now. But we wanted to be diligent in providing what we do know, and ensure the public that we are working towards providing some of the answers to the questions that they're asking, as US EPA and the county and Vistra work through those challenges. This is fairly unprecedented. And so, as I mentioned before, we are trying to be as transparent as we can with as much information as we can. But every day is, I think, a new challenge and a new pivot point as they go through this remediation process.
So, for instance, on the page the area that we're looking right now, you've got one that is highlighted in blue because it's underway. When the next phase happens, that progress bar will begin to move. So as people look at this, they can see immediately what is active, because it will be in blue and have, percentage numbers or completion, or at least a start date.
Yeah, exactly. And so there also might be times where multiple phases are occurring simultaneously. For instance, you might have delinking and battery removal occurring at the same time, as well as structure stabilization. So as they navigate through this process as the responsible party, we'll be sure to, update that as such. Yeah.
So for people who want to access this, this is a page, I believe, that's on the readymontereycounty.org under recovery, and then there'll be a tab for that.
That's correct. By the end of the day, there should be a new little incident icon on the recovery page. We'll be sure to include the link in the press release that we send out later today. And that I believe should be updated in a couple of hours.
Thank you very much, Kelsey. I am not seeing any questions about the page from any of our participants. If any questions do come in, I will forward them. And again, I really thank you for kind of giving us a preview of this. And it's very exciting to do something that is unprecedented and serve the community at the same time.
Yeah, and just before I go, I really wanted to take a moment to thank the community. We have received just numerous questions and inquiries about this process, but ultimately a very, I think, reasonable expectation about the transparency that they're hoping to receive regarding the debris removal progress. And so we've received that correspondence and appreciate that feedback from the community and encourage them to continue to, send their recommendations, send their concerns, send their inquiries either to the Department of Emergency Management, to the clerk of the board, or to Supervisor Church's office.
Right. Thank you very much, Kelsey, again, for being with us today. And then our last topic related to this incident is the Tri-Counties Community Health Survey. That came out a little while ago. It is still open and available for responses. We're very pleased to have Karen Smith from the Health Department here to share some information about the survey and how people can participate. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Well, good afternoon. So what I should pay Kelsey for that segue. We want to really thank the people who are speaking up because we need to hear your voices about how this has affected you. The survey is open until Friday. It's open until the 14th. I think that's Friday. It's a 5-minute survey. It's very quick. There is no personal questions being asked. When the data comes out, it will be deaggregated, I believe is the word that the EPIs use, so that you aren't going to be identifiable. So this is a safe place. I really encourage people to take the 5 minutes and fill it out. If you have multiple people in your household, then you can fill out a survey for each person in the household. We want to hear about how this has affected you. And it's available in English and Spanish. If that is not your language, we have a phone number that you can call and get help filling it out. Let's see, this just gives us a really good way to gather systematically gather the information so we can know what is happening out there, and for next time, for learning more. It's just, I can't emphasize enough that if you haven't filled out the survey and you were affected, please fill out the survey. After it is closed, then the data people, the epidemiologists, will gather and do the magic that they do for that sort of thing, and we will share the findings when it's all ready. So we're not going to just hold it too close. We're gonna let you know what we find out.
Karen, thanks very much for that overview. Can you talk a little bit about the response to the survey so far?
So far, there was a really good surge in the beginning. We have received almost 1,000 responses. So for a community survey, that's pretty high. But again, people still have time. They have a few more days. But other than that, the data hasn't been looked at and cleaned and all those things that they do to data. So I can't tell you what we're hearing, but we have received about 1,000 people have filled out
And
surveys.
it's also, I think it's also important for people to know that this is a tri-county survey, so people in all three of our area counties can take part. And also you're asking for people's experience, whether they had an experience or not. And I think that is very interesting because many people expressed experiences and then other people who may have lived nearby didn't. And all that information is important.
It's very important, and it doesn't matter how close you were to the event. That you can fill it out. We're not. There's no fences on this one. You will be asked kind of like generally where you live, so we can look at what happens the farther out. The survey is available until Friday the 14th. So, and yes, all three, if you live in Santa Cruz County, in San Benito County, heck, if you live in Santa Clara County, we invite you to fill out the survey. This is kind of, this I think is a good example of how public health works together, the Tri-County area, to better serve the people we serve, to better serve the residents of all three counties. Combining
Thank you so
brain power.
Thank you so much for walking us through this. And it's really great to hear that this has had a really strong response. And it gives residents the opportunity to share their experience with health officials for whatever the future may bring.
Yes.
If there are any questions for Karen, this is the time to put them in chat. Again, there was a question, how long will the survey be available? It will be available through March 14th, which is this Friday. And I'll let you go, Karen. If there are any additional questions, we will forward them to you. And thanks very much for being on the briefing today.
Thank you.
So one positive outcome, if I can say that from the incident, is that some of our North County growers have gotten better connected to our emergency alert program. Now, in addition to the emergency alert program, people may not know that the County of Monterey's Agricultural Commissioner's Office developed an Ag Pass program. This provides training for growers and ranchers to have limited access to their properties during an emergency time, fire, flooding, whatever it might be. We're really pleased to have Rich Ordonez here from the Ag Commissioner's Office to talk about the program and how growers and ranchers can get involved. Hi, Rich. Thanks very much for being here today.
Well, hello, Maya. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on to talk about the important Ag Pass program that we have here at the Ag Commissioner's Office. I have a PowerPoint presentation, and let me share it with you. Can you all see my screen?
We see it. You could enlarge your main screen.
Okay. There, can you see it now? Is it?
We do, and we see your preview slides as well. So you might just want to decide what you want to do with that.
Oh, okay. Oops. Well, I'll just, if that's okay for everybody.
Yeah, sure, we'll proceed. It'll be exciting.
Okay. So yeah, the Ag Pass program is the result of legislation that was written in response to California wildfires and other disasters impacting agricultural lands. Locally in 2020, we experienced some of the worst wildfires in our history, including the River, Dolan, and Carmel fires. The photo that you see, that you see here is from the River fire. So what exactly is the Ag Pass? An Ag Pass is an ID card that allows personnel from an agricultural operation to get access to their property during a wildfire or other disaster by displaying an Ag Pass picture ID to emergency personnel at disaster roadblocks. The Ag Pass holder will be able to conduct limited activities such as taking care of livestock. That includes sheltering, transporting, feeding, administering veterinary care. Also, irrigation of crops and movement of machinery. Also, providing support to emergency responders as well. An activity that's not allowed under the Ag Pass is the harvesting of crops. The Ag Pass program provides a uniform way for our office to vet commercial agricultural operations and eligibility of the program's requirements. It also allows for emergency staff at disaster roadblocks to easily check the identity of the Ag Pass holder. It's important to note that the possession of an Ag Pass doesn't guarantee entry. And if it's not safe to enter, the emergency roadblock personnel won't allow it. So the eligibility criteria for an Ag Pass are: the operation must be a commercial agricultural operation or an educational institution conducting ag research or instruction. And the property needs to be located in a state responsibility area. And I'll talk a little bit more about the state responsibility area in the next slide. And that the Ag Pass applicant successfully completes a disaster training course facilitated by the county. So as administrators of the Ag Pass, the Ag Commissioner's Office has the responsibility to process the Ag Pass applications by verifying eligibility, coordinating and verifying completion of fire and safety training, printing and distributing Ag Pass ID badges, recording, keeping, and renewal of notifications. So as mentioned, the property in which an Ag Pass is eligible for must be located in a state responsibility area, or SRA. This slide shows in red the SRAs in Monterey County. SRAs are land where the state is financially responsible for the prevention and suppression of wildfires. It doesn't include lands within the incorporated city boundaries or in federal ownership. Our Ag Pass program allows for up to 3 Ag Pass holders per application. It's valid for 2 years, and we will require renewal after 2 years with a refresher disaster safety course. Since the program's inception in 2023, the county has granted Ag Passes to approximately 132 individuals. This map shows in green where the Ag Pass properties are located throughout the county. And we are now in the 3rd phase of the Ag Pass program. We are currently accepting applications until the end of the month, March 31st. Just want to remind everybody that there is no fee for an Ag Pass application. And on this slide, we have the QR code and the webpage address for more information on the Ag Pass program, including application materials. And that's all I had today. I thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about the Ag Pass program. And if you have any questions.
Rich, thank you so much for talking about this program, because it was really an exciting program to get off the ground. And I was hoping you might talk about the response from the ag community, because you've got 132 individual passes that are given, which is great, but there's a lot of agriculture operations out there. Are you thinking more people, you have the ability to get more people involved in the program, or have you hit a good level at this point?
No, I think there's definitely opportunities for us to expand the program. we're looking at, maybe areas outside of the state responsibility area in a pilot program that we're contemplating on launching here soon. So that's in the works, and that's why we want to advertise it as well, to get it out there, to make sure that all of our agricultural community is aware of this program, and if they want to go ahead and apply and get more applicants into the program.
And then one question, you talked about a training program in kind of a high level look. What kind of training are these ag businesses given as part of the past program?
Yeah, so we have they initially have to be trained, and then, as I mentioned, every 2 years, in order to continue to keep your ag pass, you need to get retrained, and that includes training from the fire agencies on emergency response, and also the law enforcement, the sheriff's department is involved in that as well, in addition to our office.
All right. Thank you again so much. And a reminder for everyone that March 31st is the deadline for the next round of applications. And Rich, as I understand it, they can only apply at a certain point, and then they have to wait maybe another few months or another year before they can get training again?
That's correct. Every few months we have it. As you saw in one of my slides, we've had it in 3 phases. So this is the 3rd phase, and so yeah, it's important if you're interested in applying for the program, try to get it in there. You have a few more weeks to get your application in.
Oh, Rich, thanks very much for sharing this program. It's really a terrific program. And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week, and we'll see you then.